Hi everyone, let's talk about the Golden Sails. And this was a game I picked up at Essen, and I had been excited for it because it's from the designer of Viceroy, which is, I think, from a couple of years ago now. I'm not sure how long, but we really enjoyed that. That was a game where you're building these kind of pyramids out of square cards, and you have to have this blind bid auction for which one you're going to take. It's a really good game. Maybe I'll do a video for that in the future. Yeah, so it's from the same designer. And the idea of the card drafting was really interesting, where, you know, all of the cards represent all of the goods. And that's something I still like about the game. I really like that every card gives you a lot of possibilities, and you're kind of weighing up. At the start, it's not very, you know, it's all very nebulous, that you can kind of go in any direction. And then towards the end of the game, you start seeing that, well, even a few rounds in, you start seeing that, well, that card is absolutely useless for the other person if I make it this. So you can kind of save cards for yourself, and that's quite a nice system. The way that you define the cards as the experts as well, and then in reverse turn order pick them, I really like that as well. So then you have to think about what's going to be left for you. You know, if you define a card as the perfect thing for you, then no matter what the second player defines it as, they're probably going to take the perfect card away from you. So you kind of have to play this strange, you know, mind game where you define it as something you don't want, but you know the other player doesn't want either, so that it's left for you. So you can redefine it as the thing you want when it comes back around to you. It's a really nice process, but it's one that I feel like it would work a lot better with more players, because as you know, the second and third players, you still have that thing of there are going to be people picking before you, so you have to make better decisions about which expert you're going to use. In the two-player game, the second player just gets to define something and take it straight. So if something is left and they can use an expert to make it the perfect thing for them, they can just grab it, and you know, nothing can be done. And that's true of the fourth player, but in a four-player game. But I think that a lot more thought and a lot more, you know, a lot more interesting decisions would happen in a game with more players. Also, the rule where the last person to pick, so in a two-player game, the first player, can also change the expert that's left on that card. I can definitely see why it's there, because in a four-player game, after everybody's picked, you could end up with something completely useless and just not be able to do a thing about it, because a lot will have happened since your turn. So being able to redefine it is very useful. And sometimes in a two-player game, it's not that useful, because you may not have the experts left to define it as anything useful for you. But we found that when we were playing, we could just always make something, you know, very nice happen with the experts we had left. There was never any real fear of... The fear is like, it is defining something as a card that's really useful for you, and then the other person's just going to take it. The fear wasn't in, oh, what's going to be left for me at the end of this, because you're quite comfortable in the fact that I'm going to be able to change it when it comes back to me. And with only two people, you know, there's not really that much, you know, back and forth going on with these things. I don't know, that's just me personally. I do think that it's a really clever game. The different ways that everything scores, I love it. I love the way that the animals are going to be completely different every time. You know, there's this grid that's it's a crazy way of scoring the animals, and otherwise it's, you know, different sets depending on the game that you're playing. They can be like this one is similar to the one we had in this game, where you want particular orientations, although some animals on their own are going to be worth points. These sets, you know, you need at least 3 of something for anything to be worth points in animals, and this will kind of make them work a little bit like spices, as well as needing specific ones. You can just get points for having different animals. So I really like there's all that different scoring, but in just the cards themselves, you know, the spells do all these different things. You want the gems in sequences, you want different spices, you want different weapons as well, because if you're forced to take a weapon of the same type, it's going to not only not do anything, it's going to cancel out the weapon from before. So, you know, there's a lot of interesting ways of scoring this. So there's a lot to like in this game. There's the different ways that the cards exist as well. You know, they're everything at once and only one thing when you take them. The back and forth of everybody defines something and then in reverse turn order everybody takes something. The different ways everything's going to score every game, as well as the standard spices and things. There's a lot to be thinking about, but yeah, in general, when we were playing, we were just kind of thinking that, wow, this would probably be a lot more interesting with more players. But if you have more players and you're going to be generally playing with more and you don't mind the stealing of points and things, I think this is a really, really interesting card drafting game. I have no idea about its availability. It was, just at the Hobby World stand in Essen. But presumably it's going to be coming in English. I know that Viceroy, I'm not sure how that first came out, but there was a Kickstarter campaign to get that made in English. So, who knows? Go on Board Game Geek and subscribe to keep yourself updated on what's happening with the game if it looks interesting to you. But that's the Golden Sales. So thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye.